With FPL just 2 days away, I thought I would run through my team selection ahead of game week 1 and of course discuss my chip strategy for the upcoming season. Now, of course, if you do enjoy any of the content that you see on the channel, please be sure to like, comment and subscribe as we are trying to hit 16,000 subscribers before the start of the new Premier League season, and it would be absolutely stupendous if, of course, you could help me achieve that goal. So let's dive straight into this team. Let's not waste any time. Let's just dive straight into what my team selection is going to be. We've gone for Sanchez. He feels a very, very popular pick and for very, very good reason. Looking at the 11-5 clean sheet numbers over the opening couple game weeks, Chelsea are really, really fancied as one of the top sides. If you use a lot of other different models as well, my pick, of course, being the Fantasy Football Hub one. He also comes out as one of the top predicted point scorers over the opening 8 game weeks as well on their model as well. So really, really good pick. Gets you a nice, cheap, easy way into the Chelsea defence as well, with, of course, them looking for a new centre-back as well. I don't really want to be taking any kind of gambles on any of them. I think Cucurella at 6 is a little bit difficult to get into a lot of people's sides, so I think the easy ways into that Chelsea defence, of course, is going to be Sanchez. We're going for Dubravka. When he is fully fit and available, he's probably going to be Burnley's first-choice goalkeeper, so that's, you know, a nice 4 million playing goalkeeper. Don't have to worry about that one too much. In terms of the defence then, we have gone for Tarkowski, we've gone for Anderson, and we've gone for Murillo. These guys are going to be the DEFCON merchants. They're pretty much going to be within my side every single week, and they play for pretty decent defences as well that will do well in terms of just picking up baseline kind of clean sheets. Then you factor in that these guys are probably going to be DEFCON monsters as well. I think it all adds up to a real nice kind of, you know, balance here of that DEFCON and clean sheets, because I think that's the important balance, right? A lot of people are looking at just picking up DEFCON points from the defenders. No, I think you've got to have that right balance, and I think, you know, Forest, Everton and Fulham all have that capability, of course, go and get clean sheets this season. Now, I know a lot of people are probably going to be already in the comments going, Tom, Fulham only kept 5 clean sheets last season. Well, their underlying data was actually pretty good, and they were probably very unfortunate not to have came away with more clean sheets from last season. So I think there will definitely be an improvement in terms of that metric. And like I said, Anderson is just one of the best 4.5s you can get for a lot of the DEFCON contributions, which is exactly what you want. From my kind of video that I did a few days ago talking about my final draft, Porro was entered here. Now, here's a pick that does worry me a little bit because I don't see Spurs' defence getting much better from last season. I mean, they can't get any worse. They can't regress anymore, or they will be like a relegation level defence. They were 17th for XG conceded last season. I think they're still going to be, you know, probably bottom 10. But the reason that I've gone for Porro is mainly down to set piece share. He is going to be on a lot of free kicks. He's going to be on a lot of corners. He's not bad for DEFCON either. Picked up 6 points from this metric last season. And I don't mind that opening fixture against Burnley. I think it's a great fixture. Go and attack it. And like I said, if I can get a fullback that has that attacking threat, can pick up some DEFCON, and hopefully Spurs do improve as a defence, I don't mind it too much at 5.5. Of course, we're going to have to wait and see if he does progress through the Super Cup and obviously doesn't pick up any injuries during that time. That would be stupendous if he doesn't do that, but I've definitely jinxed it. And the reason I've gone for him as well is it does allow me to upgrade that goalkeeper position. Originally, I had a 6, and we still might revert to a 6. This is one of the kind of the questionable positions that I'll probably update over the next few days as we get closer and closer to the deadline. But Porro's in here for now, but it very easily could be a 4.5 like Vergen or Kelleher, and then we could go back to, you know, a Van Dijk. But the reason I don't want to go Van Dijk is it is looking likely that Guehi is, of course, going to be joining Liverpool. And I think if that's the case and he starts playing regular games, why would I need to go for Virgil van Dijk? I could just go and get into the Liverpool defence for 4.5. So I think for the opening few weeks, maybe see what Porro's like, see what the Spurs defence are like, because a lot of people have got Van de Ven as well, and I want to give a little bit of coverage to the Spurs defence. And at the other side of that, we've got our monsters as well that will just keep ticking along with the defensive contributions. Our final defender on the bench is going to be Esteve for 4 million from Burnley. He rotates in game week 2 quite nicely with Porro when he, of course, has Manchester City. They take on Sunderland as well. And Burnley's record last season was immense in the Championship. They would just nullify a lot of teams and would keep the ball. Now, I don't think they're going to be as good at it with, of course, better opponents within the Premier League this season, but I still think they're going to be a pretty sturdy defence out of the ones, of course, that did come up this campaign. Now heading into my midfield, and as you can see, this position is honestly just stacked. It is absolutely stacked with, of course, Premier League talent and players that I think will do exceptionally well at the start of this season. Very familiar with the league, very good, proven point-scoring players as well. And that is going to be Salah, Palmer, Bruno Fernandes. These guys, for me, just feel like absolute locks I want in my side, to be honest. Salah and Palmer, they rotate nicely with captaincy. Bruno also filters into that, and we're going to show that in a second, how that's going to work for you guys as well, for potentially people that are thinking going without Mohamed Salah, or of course maybe looking at Haaland drafts. Maybe I'm going to kind of sway your mind on that one in terms of just captaincy, and look at our captaincy matrix as well, coming up for the kind of opening 8 game weeks. Elliot Anderson, I know a lot of people are getting really hyped about Reinders, but the problem I'm going to have is if I went for Reinders and he starts seeing decreased minutes or maybe some benchings and stuff like that, it does make this side a little bit of a problem, because as you can see, the bench cover it's not great, is it, really? We've got 4.5 millions. Gui looks like he's probably going to miss the start of the season. Junior isn't going to probably play as well. He's played limited minutes across the course of pre-season. Not great. Was in the backup Bournemouth side as well. So it doesn't fill me confidence that he's going to be a regular starting player either. So the bench cover is fairly non-existent. We're going to need 11 players that play every single week and don't really pick up too many injuries. Elliot Anderson fits that bill, but he's not going to be as attacking as Reinders. It is kind of that balance, isn't it, and that trade-off. Do I want to go for the more attacking and flashy pick in Reinders? Getting into a City midfielder for 5.5 could be great. But at the same time, I could just have Elliot Anderson. The Forest fixtures aren't bad. He can just take over nicely with his defensive contribution points and just be a very steady Eddie that I need within this side, because we've got to have 11 players fully fit and playing all the time. So that's why I like Elliot Anderson. Wirtz has dropped into this side as well. I watched the first 20 minutes of the Community Shield, and I was just like, this guy's absolutely everywhere, and was just kind of just connecting all the dots. His minutes seem pretty decent as well. I think he came off in maybe like the 84th minute, so that doesn't feel too bad, you know, for 8.5 million. And I look at this Bournemouth side, right, and I think I would like 2 attackers for this opening game. I really, really would. Bournemouth have been absolutely dismantled. They've not got it quite right in pre-season either. They've lost Subania, they've lost Dean Huijsland. You see where these players have gone as well. They've gone to PSG, they've gone to Real Madrid. That's how good a defence they were. Kirkes as well, of course, off to Liverpool. They've got injuries to Cook. It looks like Christie might miss the start of the season. Kluivert's not fully fit. There's just so many things for me that Bournemouth, like, the red flags are coming out. It's a Liverpool home fixture. I think, you know, for parts of that Palace game, they look really, really good going forward. Of course, there was a few question marks defensively, but we haven't got any defenders to worry about. It's more the attackers here. We've got Wirtz, who feels like he's going to be linking up absolutely everything. And for me, just feels like he could be an absolute gem at 8.5 million. So that's why I want him. That's why I want, obviously, you know, the Salah in there as well. I think he's going to be a great captaincy option for game week 1, and probably is going to be still the most owned player. Well, sorry, the most captain player come game week 1. I know he's now not the most owned player, which for me does feel a little bit like, what are people doing? This is a guy who is a very consistent point scoring player, and for most weeks will be the best captaincy option. I think it's the smart play to go with him, see after 5 where we're at. If he's not delivering the goods and other Liverpool assets, of course, hit the mark, then definitely start to look elsewhere. But for those opening 5, I'm going to stick with Mohamed Salah. I think he's the best captain for 3 out of those opening 5. And if you want to throw Newcastle in there as well, if he looks good after Bournemouth and they look a little bit wobbly at the back, which they have done in pre-season, then 4 out of the 5, the best captain, and you're not going with him within your side, could be a little bit of a mistake in my opinion. But let me show you the captaincy matrix that I'm currently using. One of the best things I can highly recommend to you guys is head over to Fantasy Football Hub, the link in the description, play around with their predicted points tool and look at the fixtures where you need a captain and who's going to be the best captain every single week. So let's start off with game week 1. Salah for me feels like the best captain. Fantasy Football Hub agrees. They've got him as the highest scoring predicted points player for that week. If we head to game week 2 then, we see Bukayo Saka come in here, a player that I do want to talk about in a second, but Salah's in there as well. We've got Cole Palmer as well with West Ham, so not a bad week for our other options. Game week 3, it's actually got Salah, but we've got Bruno Fernandes with the Burnley fixture. I actually think he will be the standout captaincy pick. We've also got Cole Palmer if we wanted to go for that in match day 3. Game week 4 is Salah's best and his highest predicted points across the period, so could be a good opportunity to go with the triple captain if he's looking good at the start of the season. Game week 5, Salah again with Everton at home. You've obviously got Watkins with Sunderland. You've got, the other players, not ideal fixtures to be honest. Game week 6, it is going to be Haaland, but this is a week I have outlined where I might potentially look to get that free hit. Or, of course, with this side, I could just realistically sit on my hands for 5 weeks because we've got a good starting 11. Not obviously get swayed by any kind of potential players at the start of the game that look good for maybe a couple minutes or a few weeks. And then just, move to Haaland because we might have a few transfers built up. We could take Salah out. We could move to Haaland because, as you can see, he's got Burnley, Brentford, Everton as that next free, which could be great captaincy options. Again, this is what I mean by the premiums. You don't have to just stick with one and that's the end of it. You can rotate these guys around, especially if you build up some transfers. They're at nice price points this season where it is possible to do that. Game week 7, it does have Saka, but I'm probably going to go with Bruno with Sunderland. And then game week 8, it is back to Mohamed Salah with that Manchester United fixture. But again, that depends how they look as a side. But Haaland with Everton, not too bad either. So overall, I think in my team and my midfield, I've pretty much got just captaincy covered off. I've got the players I really like. And I think when we look probably back at game week 5, game week 6, I think we're going to see Salah, Palmer, Burt and Fernandes all up there, probably within the top 15 players scoring over that time period. It's a bold prediction, but I honestly think it. And I think, gambling on some of these lesser forwards just doesn't feel like the right play for me. But picking these solid midfielders that I know probably come game week 6, they're all going to be up there as some of the top scoring players within the game, just feels like the right play for me. Now, of course, if you want to go and check out any of Fantasy Football Hub's amazing features over on their website, I would highly recommend it. Obviously, we just showcased the captaincy matrix and running through the predicted points tool. Really good tool to go and use, and I would highly recommend it. Massively helped me last year achieve my top 10k finish. And of course, if you want to go and get your team rated for free by their AI tool, again, highly recommend it. Link in the description. Go and get it done. Helps you identify your weaklings for this team. I believe this one picked up a 96 rating on Fantasy Football Hub as well. So why would you not go and get it rated? Find out where your team's weak. Find out where your team's strong. And like I said, it's just a really, really good tool. Highly recommend it to everybody playing fantasy football this year. Right, let's finish up then. Let's take a look at my solitary forward. And it is going to be Watkins. Again, I want to talk about the forwards in a lot more depth and why I like Watkins. I think Watkins is just a very easy hold, probably up until like game week 7, realistically, right? He also gives me that opportunity to see which 7.5 million forward looks good at the start of the year. And of course, if Watkins isn't doing the business, we can drop that down. Right, we can drop that down. We have an extra 1.5, maybe another cheap forward emerges. We can upgrade one of our dud forwards on the bench, okay, if Watkins doesn't work. But I think he's going to work. He's got the bit between his teeth in pre-season. Has been smashing the goals in. There doesn't seem like there's too much competition heading into the opening few game weeks as well. So why would I not pick him? Of course, as well, Gyökeres around a similar price. If Gyökeres looks good, probably after maybe game week 5, game week 6, there's that a period where I could swap Watkins after the Sunderland fixture and go and get Gyökeres as well at that 9 million. So I've got my options open. But the reason that I've stacked the midfield and not really looked at 2 other forwards, I've pretty much just gone for 2 dud forwards here, is I just don't like the forward options. Let's run through them. Again, we're using Fantasy Football Hub. Here are their top 5 points predictions for the opening 5. I think the best forwards in the game are, of course, Haaland and Watkins. But as I ran through with captaincy, Haaland just doesn't fit in the team, so I don't have him. That's the reason I don't have him. It's not that I don't think he's a good player. And if he can definitely make it work with captaincy, why not? He can be a very, very good player. But Watkins is second. And for me, probably the second best forward if price didn't matter right now, selecting within the game. But then we start running through everybody else here. And there's just question marks with every other forward on here. Mateta, Crystal Palace have now been demoted to the Europa Conference League. They have qualifiers either side, right? They've got either side of the Nottingham Forest fixture in game week 2. Not ideal. Then you've got Etitike. I can't pronounce this guy's name to save the life of me. Again, big question marks over him because if Isak's throwing his toys out the pram, gets that move, what does that mean for him and his minutes? Downgrades him massively. Chris Wood, Forest have only scored 1 goal in pre-season, massively overachieved on his data, but the fixtures aren't bad, so he's probably the best out of the rest kind of we spoke about here. Gyökeres, unknown. We don't know what kind of, Arsenal are going to do over the opening few. I would rather wait and see than bring him in. João Pedro, a very, very popular asset and for very, very good reason. Been banging the goals in, but He's not seen out a 90 in pre-season. Delap's there. The rumours are that Jackson might be staying at the club and be reintegrated with the training squad again. So I'm looking at that going, I'm paying 7.5 for, yes, a Chelsea attacker, but one that's not going to see 90 minutes. And minutes matter for me personally. The more minutes that a player is on the pitch, the more likely he is to score. A lot of the Premier League goals as well, if you look over the course of the history of the Premier League, they're scored later on. They're scored past 60. And if my striker isn't on the pitch, why have I got him? Simple. Why would I have him? Jared Bowen, I honestly love Jared Bowen. If you've watched the channel for a number of years, you know I'm a big fan of Jared Bowen. But after the game week 1 fixture, I just think the West Ham fixtures are really bad and not really worth me spending that 8 million. I'd rather find that extra million, pick Watkins, who's got good longer term fixtures, and as well, no real competition for places. Raul, again, Fulham fans are thinking Muniz is going to be the first choice, but Muniz might be going to Leeds. So again, there's a bit of kind of up in the air there. Evan Nielsen, I think with the high turnover that Bournemouth have had this season, I know not within the attacking areas, but probably isn't a pick. Not a great ideal game week 1 fixture as well. Strand Larson, not an ideal game week 1 fixture. If you look at a lot of the models as well, really has Wolves low down for their projected goal numbers. Now, Strand Larson might be that guy that goes and gets 10 plus goals this season, but he might not even be on penalties. The last time he took a penalty was like 3 or 4 years ago. John Aries has been taking them for Fluminense, so he might be the pen taker. So 6.5 million for Wolves striker that's not going to be the pen taker, again, doesn't really interest me. Isak, we don't know what's going off with him. Welbeck's minutes have been all over the place in pre-season, so not really an option. Beto, David Moyes literally came out and criticised him after a game, so probably wouldn't go there. Solanke, we need to wait and see, but again, if he plays the Super Cup, does he play a full 90 there, or is he going to be playing full 90s every single week, or is he going to be rested after the Super Cup and a different forward plays against Burnley, which is the gem of the fixtures for Spurs as well? Thiago, looks like Brentford going to be in the market for another striker. Fulkrik's injury record last season was absolutely abysmal and not worth going for. Visser, transfer up in the air. Joel Perreault, Leeds are looking for another forward. And then we're now down to Zion Fleming from Burnley, who are not going to score a lot of goals. They didn't in the Championship. I doubt they're going to do it in the Premier League this season. So we're now in a position where I've pretty much whittled through all of those forwards, and I just don't have a clear option. I would rather spend it on a Wirtz, or if we were to downgrade Watkins to a 7.5, say João Pedro, we could go to Saka. I would much rather have Saka or Watkins or Wirtz in this case than any of the other forwards within the game right now for me. And this is why I am currently sat on the 4-5-1. I think the bench boost as well, early doors, has probably lost most of its appeal, with, of course, the injuries to Dubravka and Gui. If both of those guys were fit, I think, maybe the bench boost becomes an option, and maybe you need that other striker option to, of course, play it. But if they're not available for game week 2, the ideal week where you would want a bench boost, why bother? Like, literally, why bother? Just load in with a 4-5-1. We've got a little bit of bench cover. Like I said, we are going to be heavily reliant on the players, as you can see, within the starting 11 every single week. But I really don't mind it. We've got some absolutely mega big hitting players here. And if DEFCON is as good as we're obviously predicting it to be, this realistically could just genuinely be an absolute cheat code for this season. So that's where I'm at with this team. Let me know what you think of it down in the comments section. Of course, if you've got any questions about your team, get them in. Of course, I will be finalising my team on the deadline stream on Friday as well. So if you are new to the channel, make sure you're hitting subscribe with bell notifications on, as well as we will be doing team ratings on there as well. And my best advice, get in there nice and early to, of course, get your team rated by me. Like I said, that is the draft for now. Let me know what you think of it in the comments section. But thank you very much for watching today, ladies and gentlemen, and good luck in game week 1.